What's the deal, bro? How you
Yo,
feeling?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Man, look, waking up, man. I feel like nowadays to wake up, we already won. So I'm feeling great, man.
Nah, I hear
This is a
that.
crazy time we're living in. You feel me? So
Mm,
we done lost so many people and heroes, and the whole world is shut down. Like, look at how we doing this, man. I would normally
it's
be in the
crazy.
studio with you, you know?
Yeah, crazy. And
Wow.
listen, I just want to say thanks because whether you're in the country or not, I get the packages from Puma. Like I was getting clothing, I was getting shoes. Like, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate that because it's like, some people are like, distant, like 24/7, but it's just dope. Like, like every now and then I get a gift and shit. So like appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I never
bro.
got a chance to say that to you. So and
Yeah, your impact, man. You had a big impact on me, and since day one, been showing that love and covering me and everything, man. So it's just, I never forget that ever. So thank you.
no, that's dope. That's dope. And
Yeah.
Detroit was one of my favorite projects. Like, I'm the kind of guy that prefers mixtapes to albums, and it's like
Hmm.
Detroit was my shit, man. I knew that shit inside out. I used to, like that was like, when you have something that you listen to daily, like a set
Uh-huh.
for like months. That was me, right? So
Yeah.
when I found out you was doing Detroit too, I was like, wow, like this is gonna be dope. This is gonna be some grease. And
Yeah.
look, I just wanted to ask you what made you want to be so open on this project? Like, because this is the most open I've heard you before, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't really by choice. It was just like that was what was on my heart. And I was going through a point where, I at towards the beginning of making the album, I was feeling very burnt out. I was feeling very like maxed out
Mm,
and uninspired, very depressed, very much anxiety, a whole lot of just like doubting myself and like I didn't know where that was coming from. I couldn't figure it out and it was just hard for me to get through a day regularly, without being so in my head. So I think after you do something for such a long period of time, you get like your passion starts to go away and you either have to reignite that passion and that fire or you have to like figure out how to move on. So I was going through a lot that nobody around me had ever experienced. So I took the time out for myself. I cut off everything I was doing, all the obligations, all the social engagements I had to do. Like I just cut off everything and put myself first as a priority, and I started doing therapy. I started working on my communication with myself and like working on myself. I started spiritually, like really making my foundation stronger in that area too. And what it did was it expanded my bandwidth. And, one of the things I did during my meditations is I would go back to when I was like 15 and 19 and like 21 and like, man, like, why was I sleeping in the studio? Like, I went back and it reignited that passion and that hunger. But it's like I went back there, but as a newer version of myself, and I expanded like how all the thoughts I was doing, and it made me think about some of the things that I went through that I never talked about, like when I had that heart altercation when I was 19, or you know, being open with losing a baby, or all these different things that I never would normally talk about, or really don't hear talked about in music that much in general. And was like, man, let me just put it all out there because I realized that my real purpose in life is to inspire and to give inspiration and to be inspired. And that may require me to sacrifice my privacy, and to talk about things that are very uncomfortable for me, in effort to relate to somebody or to help somebody through what they're going through, and so that's just where I was at mentally and approached the album like that. So it does come across probably as my most honest work for sure.
mm. Unlucky me, where you were saying, when you said like you was diagnosed with having heart disease, I was like, oh shit. So like when you find out something about a friend and you're like, oh, why did you tell me? Like, oh shit. I was like that. I was like, I was like listening to the album. it's like second track in, and I was like, oh shit, like that's crazy. Like I never knew that, but how was that? How was that coping with that? Because I think even being told and sat in front of a doctor, I know what it's like to be given bad news, but to be told like, yo, you got heart disease, son. Like, how did that feel?
Yeah, it was terrible, bro. It was like one of the most scariest, horrific moments of my life. And I remember they were like, well, we can either cut the top of your heart open and scar it like a whole bunch of times. So because the electromagnetic currents that make your heart beat, that are naturally in your body, mine weren't. It wasn't doing it right. My heart was literally beating like this instead of beating like that. And he was like, we can either cut it open and scar it, or we could put a pacemaker in your heart. And every time your heart starts to beat irregularly, it'll shock your heart. And you'll feel a little shock, but it'll make it beat right. And I was like, this sounds so dramatic. And I remember my mom took me to Dr. Brownstein, which is still my doctor in Michigan, holistic doctor. And he just gave me a couple things, and the main thing he gave me was magnesium. And he was like, make sure you take this magnesium because it's a natural way of putting your body back on its natural rhythm, And man, a few days later, I guess it was a week or two, that I had to go back to the doctor to get prepped for surgery that we couldn't afford at the time anyway. And they tested my heart, and they were like, oh my God, your heart, it completely changed. Like, we don't know what happened, like they were like, yeah, we don't think you need the operation anymore. Like, this is insane. And I told them, like, I took this and took magnesium, and they were just like, nah, like they couldn't believe it, because they were so stuck in their ways, that Western medicine. And that just taught me a lot in that moment. So yeah, that was a crazy moment, and it really was my confirmation to, like, okay, always do things holistically if you can.
All right, all right. On deep reverence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You say after what happened to Nipsey, I reached out to Kendrick, and then on Guard
Mm-hmm.
Your Heart, you say you conflicted like being cool with Pusha and Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Recently, Kanye tweeted that he wanted to get Kendrick, Cole, Drake, and in a room together. It
Yeah.
Could that ever happen realistically? Because you guys are like rap gods, and I'm not including you in that, but I'm saying it's like where you guys are in the rap game, and I don't I couldn't imagine that. And it's like hearing your lyrics, and then hearing like you reaching out to Kendrick. I didn't even think, like, as fans, we just assume everyone's cool unless there's like beef, unless there's like rap beef.
Right.
But we just
And
assume that, like, you're making money, you're good, you're popping, like,
yeah, I know it gets deeper than that though, but I mean, it was really literally nothing. I knew that between me and Kendrick. That's why I never even addressed it or talked about it, because it was like, I knew whenever I saw him that it was going to be all love, because that's how it's been our whole life. There's somebody who's been in my house, somebody who I performed at their charity shows before, somebody who, we homies. So when
Mm,
people say, oh, I think Sean was talking about you on this song when he said this, or vice versa, it's just chatter, but it got blown up on the internet on some sites, and to the point where it was always something that just, like, in the back of my head that I just never really, like, got to. And I remember I sat on a plane next to Punch and TDE, and he was like, yo, you ever hollered at K Dot? And I was like, it was right after Nipsey passed, and I was like, the things you put off, you never know, like, what could happen with anybody.
mm,
That's what that taught me. Somebody you think is
mm,
always gonna be there, like, oh no, I'll see him, like, when the time is right. No, you got to act on it now. So it wasn't anything big at all. It was just like a reach out. We showed common respect to each other, like, like kings or like brothers do, and it was all good, and it was easy.
mm,
Um, as far as the, like, Drake and Ye thing, I just feel like people go through they go through their own things and the relationships. I've seen these people be tight. I've seen the brotherhood
Mm,
between them. You know, I've seen the brotherhood
mm,
between Ye and Jay. You know, that's how I met Jay. That's how I ended up on
mm,
a song with Kanye and Jay-Z, is because they were
mm,
brothers and they embraced me. So
mm,
I think that things work out how they're supposed to work out always in the end. So, you know,
mm.
that's between them.
Okay. On Guard Your Heart, you say conflicted like being signed to Ye and managed by Jay.
Hmm.
How can that be a conflict? That's like ultimate privilege, man. That's like I know people who would like they would do anything to be in that situation. How could that ever be a conflict?
Oh, just because of like the disagreements that they have, some, you know, like publicly, you know, that was the only. It's definitely not like that's amazing. You know, it's a blessing, and they obviously Kanye discovered me, you know, so
Mm,
he was the one who gave me an opportunity of a lifetime, you know,
mm,
and Jay obviously he introduced me to Jay, and you know, Rock Nation has definitely helped me so much, especially on the business side of things, you know. So it's two different like dynamics, you know.
mm. When we're friends, right? When you're out with your friends or whatever, like is it ever like, yo, how's your boy? Ever like that? Is it ever get like that? Yo, what's your boy saying today? Like, is it ever you find
Nah,
yourself in the
nah, nah,
middle,
nah,
or you just
nah,
like
nah. It's never been like that. It's never been like that.
all right.
Mm.
How did you hook up with Post Malone? I love that Wolves joint, man. That's hard.
Yeah, hopefully we get the video done for Wolf soon. I saw Post Malone in a restaurant. Well, I've seen him like a lot of times, like at Wireless Fest. That actually was the first time we met.
Okay.
Um, over there, and oh, this was like a few years ago or something. And then I was at a restaurant and I ran into him just randomly at a restaurant. And I just did that song and I was like, yo, I think I got this song. And you know, I was like, he was like, yeah, like send it through. And I got it. I got the song to him and he loved it, you know, and he did
Mm,
something to it, sent it back. I
mm,
was sitting on that song for like a year. I can't lie. Like I had it like just
right,
tucked away.
right,
And when I pulled it back up, like towards the end of the album, it was just still so like the song just has a crazy energy to it. Like it's like insane to me and like very addictive. You know, it's like something about it that I just love so much. And it was just easy, man. It just happened effortlessly. And you know, I had ASAP Rocky do some ad libs on there as well. So like at the
right,
beginning, all the like,
right,
oh yeah, that's like Rocky. And I wanted to make sure to like have moments on the album where people just do little things like say a word, do some ad libs,
right,
because I think that's cool,
right.
you know.
Is that the case with Zen the Fuck Out? Because on ZTFO, you hear the Travis Scott ad
Mm.
libs. Is there a version with Travis like rapping on it, or is it just like an ad lib thing on that joint?
No, it's just an ad lib thing, you know. He was obviously on the Lithuania song, and I just was like, yo, this would be hard to just do ad libs, you know. I was there when they had Jeezy's ad libs on Can't Tell Me Nothing. I remember how amazing that was to me, where it was like Jeezy wasn't really on the song; it was just his ad libs, but you know, it was an energy, you know, a good contrast that he brought to the song. So I felt the same way with like, I always keep that in mind. That's why like on Wolves, Rocky is doing ad libs on there and like chopping and screwing his ad libs, and on Zen the Fuck Out, Travis is like, you know, adding his energy to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I just always keep stuff like that in mind. Even on Full Circle with Puff on there, he's just on there a little bit, you know, a few
yeah,
bars, adding his
yeah.
ad libs to it. Yeah.
All right. And then the Erica Badu story, like, bro, Detroit. I was like, I want to move out there. Like,
Right, right.
I think every city needs to get Erica Badu to talk about it because yeah, I'd love to hear her say that about London, seriously, because it's like, yo, she made that sound like it was like some mystical place, man. Like it sounded dope. Um,
You know, Erica Badu in London. There's like a special connection she has there too.
yeah,
I saw
Yeah.
when her and Janae had a show out there in London that was crazy. At the
Mm.
O2, I heard. And
Yeah.
I think Erica's amazing, man. So let me tell you about that. Excuse me while I was just eating a piece of a donut. Um, Erica Badu used to come to Detroit a lot to work with Jay Dilla. So I knew she some of her favorite songs, were the ones with Jay for me. Was some of the ones she made with Jay Dilla. So when when I asked her, I said, "Yo, can you talk about the city?" Because she was immediately with it,
Mm.
and I had to reach out to her people because I didn't know her personally that well. I've only met her like one time, and she went so deep on her story. She like connected like the heavens and the earth, like in all that she was saying, and she meant. I could tell she meant every word of it, and she said Detroit where the Nubians grow, and it was beautiful, man. So I appreciate her for blessing the album with her energy and her essence.
That's dope.
And
That's dope.
the other skits are crazy too. Dave Chappelle,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder, and I was literally just carrying the same theme of the first Detroit, with the stories on
Mm.
there, and they all came about completely different. With Dave Chappelle, I was hopping off a plane, he was hopping on a plane. And I ran into him and he's walking up to me and he's like, "Yo, I love your dad, man." And I was just like, what the? I thought I was
Wow.
dreaming, honestly, because it was like 5 in the morning. I was like, am I fucking sleeping still? And I remember a few months before that, my dad called me and was like, "Yo, man, like I was with Dave Chappelle at his show, man. He loves you, son.
Mm.
Like he loves Dark Sky Paradise and your music." And I just remember like thinking like my dad's probably exaggerating this a little bit.
Mm.
And so I called my dad after I met Dave Chappelle and was like, "Yo, my bad. I didn't know you really knew him for real." And,
Mm.
Dave Chappelle was like, "Of course I'll do the story for you, man. Like, I respect you and I want to honor you." And he was like, "I'll even open up for you if you need me to at a show, man. I'll even like donate my proceeds to charity for you or whatever." And I was just like,
Mm.
damn. Well, like, what a real legend. And Stevie Wonder, obviously, that was like dream come true. He's the greatest singer songwriter of all time by far.
Mm.
It's not even a contest. And not to be comparing, because I'm not into judging or comparing, but for
Mm.
me, he impacted me so deeply. So to have him tell his story about, he was the only person who did a story that was actually from Detroit.
Mm.
It was incredible, man. The things he said on there were just like life lessons for real and real wisdom. So it was great.
With the Detroit Cypher, hard, crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That was a tough one to execute too, I'll tell you that.
In your opinion, who killed it?
Everybody, to me, I mean, if I had to pick one, I guess I would say Eminem for sure went like very, very, very insane at the end. It was like very precise surgery that he was doing to that beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think everybody like it was fun though more than anything. It didn't feel like we were trying to out rap each other. It was like
Mm.
we was all just having fun. And that's the Friday Night Cypher was a show that I did in Detroit in high school. Every Friday night I would go down to the radio station downtown and they gave an opportunity to MCs to rap on the air on the radio. And to me, sometimes it would be a delay. So you would, as soon as you leave, you turn the radio on, you would hear yourself, what you just did 15 minutes before. And it was the most fulfilling thing that God could have given me at that moment. You know what I
Fair.
mean? It was like a dream come true to hear yourself on the radio rapping. And it would just be a big group of us every Friday that would do that. And I appreciated them for doing that. So when I was doing all these meditations and like going back to like, my passions and just remembering the moments that really inspired me, that was one of the moments. So I was like, yo, I got to make a
Mm.
song that embodies this. And
Mm.
that's what it was. So we was just all having fun. And T Grizzly, Cash Doll, 42 Doug, Bodie James, Drago, Cash Kid, Royce, Sada Baby, me and M. It was even more people than that, and it was even way longer than that. We had to cut it
Mm.
down from like a 30-minute song
Wow.
and make it like a 9.5-minute song. That was very difficult. So there's a lot of people who didn't make it on there, that not just because they weren't worthy of being on there, it's just
Mm.
because I just couldn't get it all into
Mm.
one thing.
Yeah. No, it's dope though.
Yeah, it's
It's
one of my
crazy.
favorites though. One of
Yeah.
my favorites. Yeah, thank you.
I love T Grizzly, so it's like it's dope to see the spectrum of artists, like from Detroit, and 42 Doug, he's the new guy coming through, and with Royce
Mhm.
and they're like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
Yeah, it
I
was
wanted
cool to
to,
just see it's cool to bring us all together, man. Like it's like a little quick Detroit EP almost.
yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Hmm.
And you know about lyrical wizards, you know about great MCs, but what I wanted to ask you is, how do you know about Dutch Belly and Central C? Because I've seen you tweet about them too. You're saying like you was feeling those guys, and I was like, wait, I was like, Sean hasn't been to the UK for a minute. I was like, what's going on? Like, I need to talk to you about this. Like, how do you find out about those guys?
Man, through Zeno, really, he was the one who put me on to them, and like they just sounded raw when I heard it. Like I just like how raw it was, and let's see how you really rap. you know, I just liked how they approached it, and like I felt them through the music.
All right, all
For
right.
sure. Yeah,
So,
so this was technically my last album contract wise on Good Music. So it's like obviously it's good music for life. It's like, a brotherhood, and it's always gonna be that bond, for sure. But I was like, man, I want to start my own dynasty, my own label too. And like, so I just been looking at artists like. And that's another thing. I just been peeping artists and like seeing how I could step in or even help them or just give them an opportunity or like just even link them with the right people.
mm,
I ain't got to be like on a song with them or anything. I just, even if it's just like, yo, this person is tight. Why don't you
mm,
do this? So,
mm. But look, the UK scene's crazy right now. There's a lot happening. It's very, very different. Like in the last couple of years, it's just grown. There's so many dope MCs. There's so many like people putting out great albums and everything. It's dope.
mhm.
Like if you ever want, like Zeno's your plug already. But if you ever need to know anything else, just hit me up, man. I'll let you know. Like,
Oh yeah, no,
uh,
man,
yeah,
yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation. I definitely,
yeah,
definitely am gonna hit you up. And I mean, fuck it, I'll say it now. You can send me any like after the interview, like send me who you think is like hard, from the UK that's not getting there, like that doesn't already have the big deal and isn't like the biggest, people who were like really need an opportunity or just even more of a push or whatever, even if it's just to
yeah,
hear it. I just want to hear it.
yeah. All right, cool. I'll send some things for you, man. I'll send some
Yeah.
things. Well, look, it's dope to hook up. Like, congrats on the album. Congrats on the number one.
Thank you.
Um, and like you said, just waking up is a win, man. It's just
Yeah,
being able to breathe, and be healthy. It's
it
dope.
is, man, because there's just so many things that, time is not promised to us, man. And Kobe going, Chadwick going, Nipsey going, man. Family members going. My mom lost her best friend to COVID, and like so many people, it's like people are dropping like flies. And I remember I brought New Year's in, and me and Kobe Bryant were at the same place, and like
Mm,
Kobe was like, "Yo, man, I'll come through and hear the music. Like, I love." I was telling him about my album. He was like, "Oh, man, I would love to." He was like, "Me and my daughters, we listen to you." It hurts, man. And I'm only
mm,
sharing that not to be sharing so much, to be talking, but I'm sharing it because it's like there are lessons in that.
mm,
The lessons are like you can't let things go by. You can't, you know, if it's in front of you, get to it. You know what I mean? Like time is of the essence, and we don't know how much of the essence it really is. So let's just take advantage of our time. It puts our problems in so much perspective when people are losing their lives too early.
Mm,
Breonna
mm,
Taylor, George Floyd,
mm.
everyone. It's insane, man. So God bless you. I'm happy you still here with us, man. And let's take advantage. Let's take advantage of our time.
Yeah, you too, man. All right. Well, look, big up the whole team. Shout out to Zeno. Shout out to Mo Beats. Stay safe.
Yeah. Yes, sir. You too,
Cool,
man. I'll
man.
see you soon.
All right. Cool, man.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye. Peace.